Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. My name is TyTy Windisch. I'm joined as always, like I was yesterday on Sunday, for Bucks Bulls, the first game of the freaky time era. We saw them sit on the bench the whole time. They didn't play. Oh well. Still glad to be joined then and now by my illustrious co-host Rohan and Katti. Rohan, how's it going?
Doing well, Ty. We watched a Bucks basketball game yesterday. How can life not be good right now? The preseason is in full swing. Almost all NBA clubs are in action now, playing against some international teams, playing against other teams, like other NBA teams. The Bucks are playing. Everyone's practicing, as we'll get into. It's a good time. It's a really good time, so I'm doing well.
It's a great time. Real quick before we get to...
It's a great day in the neighborhood. Shout out Mr. Rogers.
Sure. Before we get into...
Do you not know who Mr. Rogers
is? Yes, I know who Mr. Rogers is. It's just random.
Okay.
You're the one who doesn't know things in people.
Yeah, I was going to be Simpsons man. I was going to be really shocked if you didn't know who Mr. Rogers is. Yeah,
of course I know who Mr. Rogers is.
Well, R.I.P.
Yeah. True. He'll live on forever.
Yes. Also, happy Indigenous Peoples Day as we're recording this.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Not happy Columbus Day.
No.
We'll get to practicing in a moment. First, real quick, shout out to the listener who saw us on the way into the game and had some very kind words. Very much appreciate those interactions, as rare as they may be. But it is always cool when someone who listens to the pod spots us in the wild and has nice things to say. So thank you very much. If you are listening to this episode, appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a welcome sight.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, practice. You talking about practice?
Yeah, let's talk about practice.
Eric Dame was talking about practice on Saturday when he tweeted Bucks. I guess Adrian Griffin was talking about practice. Eric Dame was transcribing it. Bucks coach Adrian Griffin just told reporters that everyone on the roster, including who? Khris Middleton. Who? Participated in 5-on-5 work today. So much ado about nothing there. This is why I said, listen, I am not going to panic over practice designations in early October. So Eric Dame wrote an article about this talking to Khris as well before this. Maybe he's written one since too. I haven't seen it yet if he has. But Khris said, I feel great. Like there's been no setback. It's just a slow ramp up for me. And when I read that, I was like, I see why people are frustrated, like based on what's happened in the past, everything else. That's like the facts of what were laid out there makes this much less concerning for me. The setbacks are what has really killed Khris. I don't think anyone cares about a slow ramp up if it's done the right way. The fact that he says he feels great, now clearly he's been cleared to do 5-on-5 if he wasn't already. I'm just not going to worry about this anymore, Rohan.
Yeah, I mean, it's good now, especially the initial comments after that fun interaction between Eric and Adrian Griffin, where Khris was like, yeah, that's the plan. I hope to be ready by the start of the season. It's like, that's the plan, but you never know how things go. It's like, ooh, that's a little, ooh, it gives you a little bit of reason for concern. But now that he's back practicing 5-on-5, that's great news. That means he should be on track to be ready for the regular season.
When is game 1 at this point?
October 26th, I believe.
So we have, how many weeks is that?
2.5.
17 days. We're 2.5 weeks away?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Rohan.
Game 1 against Philly.
Oh my goodness. And they're one of the last teams to play, right?
Philly and Milwaukee are the last two teams.
Is it day 3?
It is day 3. Because the season starts on Tuesday there, the NBA on TNT Thursday.
It's weird.
First game.
I would have rather had like Orlando game 1 to... Oh well.
The Bucks are a premier team. They have to have a premier match or marquee matchup.
They have to wait until day 3?
Yeah.
Have to watch all these other bums?
Yeah.
It's not very fair.
At least it's a home game.
That's true. The Fiserv's going to go crazy for that one.
Freaky time.
Yeah, pretty confident both of those guys are going to play in that game, even though they, along with Khris and Cam Payne, did not suit up for the
Khris
Bucks.
Livingston.
And Khris Livingston and AJ Green due to injury, those two. Specifically, AJ Green with a calf, Khris Livingston with an ankle, or vice versa, I want to say. But those popped up day of that they would not be playing. I don't know how serious either of those injuries are. I mean, we've seen Chris Livingston playing with in camp. I don't know about 5-on-5, but we've seen clips. Haven't seen much of AJ Green, so hopefully he doesn't have anything that is too serious there. But we did see a lot of Bucks. We saw a few Bucks debuts. We saw a starting lineup of Lindell Wigginton, Malik Beasley, Jae Crowder, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez. I love that Brook just refuses to sit, by the way. Never. He never will sit.
It's such a good bit.
He played 12 and a half minutes in this game.
Yeah, all in the first half.
Yes.
And he put up some numbers.
He was leading the game in leading the Bucks in scoring until like middle of the third quarter. Also, worth mentioning before we dig into Milwaukee's performances in this game, the Chicago Bulls started Kobe White, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic. They're starters. And they lost this game. And I think they lost the first half too, didn't they?
They won the first half
by 1 point.
Yeah.
Again, the Bucks missing almost all of their key players. The Bulls, I mean, obviously Lonzo is out. He's probably going to be out. Is he already ruled out for the year?
He's already ruled out for the year.
So this is their regular season group, and they lost to the Bucks without almost all of their core players, which I find personally hysterical. And also, I want to say their key guys played more than the Bucks' key guys who did play as well. DeMar and LaVine and Vooch all played 17 minutes to 12 for Brook and Bobby, who were the only guys limited that much out of anyone who played. Because again, I mean, really, they were the guys outside of Pat who played a little bit more and maybe Crowder. We'll get into some of these other roles, but certainly Brook and Bobby are two of the most established Bucks who played. They didn't play very much. It just kills me that the Bucks won anyway. I love that.
It's so funny. It's so like endearing to me for some reason. It's like, yeah, these Bucks, they don't care. All they know how to do is beat the Bulls.
I believe this actually snaps a long preseason losing streak for the Bucks.
Yeah, because they just for the last 3 years, I believe I think they went 1-8 or something in the preseason.
But apparently, I read Name wrote the first 2 Bud years they were actually really good. So it seemed like there was maybe a shift from like trying to build an identity and culture to like, yeah, we know what we're doing now.
We know what we're doing. We're the same team every year.
Yeah. So maybe we're seeing kind of that first mode again. I mean, obviously the Bucks did not go all out to win this game, but they did win the game.
They did win the game on a Drew Timme game winner, just as we all predicted.
Just as we all expected.
Some teams have like their prized rookies like Asar Thompson hitting game tying threes to send the game to OT like the Pistons. The Bucks have Drew Timme,
also a promising rookie.
Sure.
Drew Timme has accomplished much more in the NCAA than Asar Thompson ever will.
That's very true.
That is undeniable.
I can't argue with that. He's done more in like college basketball than guys like LeBron James, Dwight Howard will ever do. You know, Kevin Garnett. You know, these guys will never touch Drew Timme. Yeah, Kobe. These guys will never touch Drew Timme's NCAA records.
That's facts. Okay. Do you want to start with team-wide things or players?
Let's start with team-wide things because as we started to watch the game, one thing we really started to look at is how is this team going to play? They have a new coaching staff. They everything that we know is possibly out the window. So we're going to start and just like watch every single play under a microscope and be like, hey, what's actually going on here on both the offensive and defensive end? And I think that one thing that stood out to us immediately on the defensive end was they just started switching 1 through 4. 1 through 4 immediately dependent on the personnel. So for most of the game, I will say that there was either a Brook or a Robin Lopez out on the court or a Drew Timme out on the court. So there is a slow moving.
I think for
center.
all of it, there had Brook, Robin, or Marques Bolden, who also played and was, I think, the third center. Timme ended up only playing 4 minutes, even though it felt like an eternity to us watching the game. But I think Bolden then was the center after the first 2.
Bolden, yeah. So there was always like a slow moving plotting center on the court. So they're always going to be consistently switching 1 through 4, and then just trying to so when you have like the center involved in the pick and roll, it was really interesting to see what they were going to try to do. So it seemed like for the most part, they kept their base scheme of just trying to go over screens, having the guard go over screens, having Brook/Robin/Bolden just drop, maybe come up a little higher on the drop than normal, but it like not like an insanely deep drop, like you're at the basket sort of drop. But it was really interesting to see that, and almost like a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like disconcerting, like
jarring.
not even jarring, because it's something we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Right. Like it wasn't abnormal to really see that. We weren't really seeing like the massive frenetic attacking like defense that we might have expected to see from an Adrian Griffin led team. And given a lot of that is probably dependent on personnel. They didn't have a lot of their key guys to really go and do that. You don't have a Giannis in there to just be a pterodactyl on defense. I will say this: they were helping a lot more. They were rotating a lot more. But otherwise, it just seemed like, oh, this. It seemed familiar. Obviously, it's different. Like they were playing very, very different basketball, but it felt almost similar in some sort of ways.
Yeah, I think they maybe pressured the ball handlers more than you would expect to see in non-Javon minutes, but it wasn't.
Good to see Javon, by the way.
Yeah, Javon playing for the Bulls, of course. Had a nice game for Chicago. Probably should start, in my opinion, but whatever. They had Kobe White starting for some reason. Yeah, I thought it's fun to watch them rotate more. I always think back to that clip that people use from the finals where they had the Giannis and PJ lineup, and it's like just watch the Bucks play defense for what feels like 10 minutes, but it was just one possession, but they were just everywhere. And you look back at that clip, and it's like, yeah, PJ is a very good defender. I mean, I think his toughness and rebounding was as important as the defense, but obviously a great defender as well, especially in that series when he didn't have a KD to be thrown at. It's a little different. But like guys like Khris and Pat were playing crucial roles in some of those possessions too. And that's when I think it gets back to team defense. Like knowing how and where to rotate is as important almost as anything else when you're playing that kind of defense, because the big thing you don't want to allow is a wide open shot. So if you're rotating well and forcing the offense to drive or kick or something, and then you have someone like a Giannis or a Brook around the paint, you can afford to get beat a little bit if the rotations continue to be crisp on the back end, because then you're just back into forcing like a mid-range shot or a floater or someone into your big. And when you have the kind of bigs the Bucks have, you can live that. So it was fun to watch them play that way for, I'd say, again, we've seen this on and off over the years under Bud too. But I would say like on a per game basis, especially for, not like a playoff game, this is probably some of the most rotating and stuff we've seen from the Bucks in one game in quite a while. It felt like they got better as the game went on, even though I'm sure they've been practicing this. Early, it was a little slower. As the game went on, the rotations looked a lot more crisp, which is good to see.
Early on, I turned to you and I said, I'm getting flashbacks when we were watching the game, because I was just like, oh my God, they're over helping from the corner. My God, what am I watching here? Like, is Jason Kidd back? What's going on here? But then you're right. As soon as like they started getting an actual game rhythm, like this is what the preseason is for, right? You can't expect to just immediately translate what's going on in practice to NBA speed immediately, especially when you're a team playing your second and third string guys against a team playing their first string guys. It's gonna be a bit jarring, but I think you're right. As the game went on, the Bucks got a little more crisp, and it helped that the Bucks started, or not the Bucks, the Bulls started bringing in guys like 77 Drell. But
yeah,
but it did look a lot. It did look a lot better as the game went on.
Henry Drell.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't know his first name. We called him
77 Drell. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about offensively? I thought it was kind of funny in this game because it was like a bunch of Robin Lopez and Marques Bolden involved. But from what we could see, like the outline of what they were doing, it seems like the big position is going to be a lot more utilized offensively as a hub. And, it meant Brook for a bit to start this game, which was fun. But let's be real. I think it was kind of apparent a lot of these actions are probably going to be Giannis. I mean, There was so much traffic going through the big and between the elbows up by the 3-point line. And
just sort of on the wing,
and it was the wing, excuse me, not the elbow. And it was a little funny sometimes when it's like Lindell Wigginton and Robin Lopez kind of doing these DHO things, but it's like, okay, now imagine it's Dame or Khris and Giannis, and it probably looks a whole lot better. No disrespect to Lindell Wigginton and Robin Lopez. But yeah, there were some possessions where they would kind of like screen and rescreen, and I'm like, oh my, I haven't seen the Bucks set this many screens in one possession in quite a while, but they just weren't getting that much because the Bulls quietly have like a pretty good group of perimeter defenders at this point, and the Bucks just did not have a ton of shot making on the court at any given time, which it still kind of amazes me they were able to win that game despite some of the offensive sets we saw. Not that the scheme was bad, but just that, the players playing it, we're having a little trouble unlocking what was there. But it looked a lot different. I mean, clearly, I think it was, I'd say, more drastic than the defensive end for sure, because we're just not used to. I mean, how many possessions was Brook just like trailing and just kind of chilling behind three and then running back, right? Like that was pretty common for a lot of the time. The center was very involved in basically every possession in this game. There was a lot of like interior passes attempted. Many were not good. Jae Crowder is not going to fill a point guard void for the Bucks.
He had some
somehow only 2 turnovers.
That's some of them.
Some of them got bumped back to the Bucks, I think, but they were turnover-worthy plays.
It was TyTy Washington's first basket. I think the Bucks tweeted it out. It's like, oh, look at TyTy's first basket as well. It starts with Jae Crowder just throwing the ball to the Bulls, and it just bounces off. That's not going to count as a turnover. It counts it as an assist or something somehow.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I will say, Bossman had a solid.
Yeah, it's not great passing, which was funny because remember he was like nailing post-entry passes when he first joined the Bucks, but I don't know if he's not used to playing with these guys or
he's not for cross-court bounce passes or passes coming off curls and stuff. Yeah. It's like maybe entry passes are your bread and butter, and you know what? We'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it, boss man.
I mean, this was a game where Bobby Portis brought the ball all the way up court like 3 times. There was a lot happening in this game. One of them was really good.
It was. He went coast to coast and finished.
I'm a little worried,
oh my God.
I'm a little worried. I don't want him to get addicted to that feeling.
Yeah, that's fair. But when the Bucks are playing with like no point guards,
but it's like when Shaq was like, I could do what Giannis does going full court if they let me. And I was kind of like,
Orlando Shaq could have.
Orlando Shaq, maybe. I don't know if he had the handle.
He didn't have as good of a handle.
Yeah, that's kind of important. And I just don't want Bobby Portis to be sitting there like, I could do this all the time too.
I'm Orlando Shaq.
I'm Giannis. I'm Giannis who can shoot.
Ooh.
It's a good player. I love Bobby Portis. But anyway, what your take on the offense, Rohan, and all the centers and screening and everything that we're not exactly used to seeing?
It looked very fluid. I mean, obviously there were a lot of times where, these guys are still trying to figure out where they're supposed to be in these sets, but you can see like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like there were some beautiful sets that were run. At one point there was like a delayed curl with Thanasis like coming down and making a key pass to the corner for a 3, and it's like, oh, okay, so you have on the strong side, you have this pick and roll going on. Weak side, you have a delayed, like almost Wade curl, not a Wade cut, but like a Wade curl. It was kind of fun to see, and then you just hit the Nas rolling, and then he kicks it out to the corner. It's like, what's going on here? Like, this is some really nice offense. So it's good to see those sort of things because it's like, yeah, instead of just having stagnant offense, possession after possession after possession, like, yeah, you can get creative. You can have some fun actions in here. And again, it's probably, is it going to be this pretty when you have these guys like Khris, like Giannis, like Dame, who like to run very isolation heavy offense? Maybe, maybe not, but especially for like bench units and when these guys are not in the game, when you don't have like a Giannis, Dame, Khris in the game, which, by the way, one of those guys, unless it's garbage time, should be on the court at all times. Like, there's no reason not to. Like, Khris against bench units is probably going to be the new Drew against bench.
Yeah, I was going to say with Cam Payne to kind of help get him into his spots, maybe that could be a fun pairing. If Dame and Giannis are playing almost always together, that's going to be so fun, dude.
Oh, it is.
30 minutes a night of just no way to guard it, and then the other 18 minutes you have Khris just dicing up teams.
Khris
dicing up bench units, yeah.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I would like that too.
But it's like when you don't have like Giannis and Dame in the game, it's like, oh yeah, you can still run fluid offense. Like that's still possible. Like even with like you're not offensively gifted players, I'll say it like nicely, sort of in the game, you can still like have a fluid offense. So it was really, really good to see.
Yeah, it was. I am reading Malik Beasley quotes right now. We'll get to this later. Some very interesting stuff going around at the moment. Hey, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. One thing that I thought, like, so even just the basics of the offense, a bunch of screening around centers. I thought it was interesting. TyTy Washington Jr., guest of the podcast, friend of the show, who just didn't shoot well. He was 0 for 4 from deep, so he ended up being 2 for 3 from 2 and then just missed his threes. He had 7 assists in less than 23 minutes in this game. And I kind of thought that showed a little bit of like, oh, here is what a gifted playmaking point guard can do, even with kind of the more rudimentary part of this offense. Just like there was just a lot more movement, I think, in general. Like there was, again, screens and rescreens from the centers, some DHO stuff going on. Like sometimes though it would kind of short circuit. Like at one point, Robin Lopez just kind of standing at the top of the key and no one's coming. He's kind of like gesturing for people wildly to come get the ball. Like, I don't want this anymore.
They had to call a timeout.
Yeah, I think they did. But TyTy, I thought, was spraying the ball all over, and you could see like, oh, this is what, kind of a gifted point guard can do with this much space and this much movement. And now again, take out Robin Lopez for Giannis, TyTy for Dame, Pat Connaughton for Khris Middleton, right? Like it's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. But I do think that the way they're playing, I mean, Giannis is going to have a great time down low. I really think Dame and Khris are just going to be feasting, whether they're on or off ball. And I mean, that's the thing. We always talk about Khris off ball. There's going to be times when Dame is off ball. Like the kind of shots he's going to get, catch and shoot, like he may struggle at first because he's just not used to being open. I kind of do wonder if he's going to be like the JR thing. Like, I need to adjust to this. I'm not used to this.
Hopefully not the JR thing, but
yeah, fair. Not full JR for a week. JR for a week.
JR for a week.
Never go full JR.
Someone hide the soup. So funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an adjustment for sure to get all these wide open looks. Like Dame himself was talking about, like, yeah, I'm not used to getting uncontested looks. I'm used to like having 2 guys at me. So just having 1 guy at me is going to be just an adjustment. It's like, man, there's going to be possessions where you're just wide open.
Yeah,
it's just going to happen.
Well, yeah, so I mean, like think about, I mean, it's the default will be Dame and Giannis actions, but it's not going to be all. I mean, we saw that. I mean, they didn't play in structure very much, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, they clearly had their sets that they did, and there were some plays like the one you smartly called out earlier. But a lot of it was kind of free-flowing, just like the center finds, the ball handler, things move around. It wasn't like they over and over again were like, okay, here is the Lindell Brook pick and roll with space. So I think that there probably will be more of that when it's Dame and Giannis. But I do think I would like if they kept a little bit of the Budenholzer, like, just flow into stuff. And I think that is a good way to let NBA players play generally because, this isn't like high school where you're going to, the point guard goes over by the coach and he calls a set and they go and run it. Like, that's just not how NBA teams really operate. But
no, just go back and listen to our conversation with
Brad Fisher. Yeah. But the concepts they were running, I do think were more structured and organized and more advantageous than what we're used to seeing, which was, they would go into stuff, but sometimes, the point guard, because you can't talk bad about any former Bucks, the point guard would kind of just do too much on his own, whereas we didn't see that many isolations in this game.
No,
like Bobby
and
taking it full court, but that's Bobby.
We saw Brook doing like some stuff against Vooch, but that's just Brook Lopez stuff. Again, I will say it's easy to not see a lot of isolations when this is a group of players you're trotting out there.
That's fair.
So I wouldn't maybe read too much into that. We'll see what happens when the big guns play.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Chris Livingston.
Yep, AJ Green. We've seen him dice up. We've seen him work in the post in Oshkosh. He's got a bag.
Oh yeah, just hit that little like AJ Green with a Dirk fade is unstoppable.
I've seen him work on it.
It's unstoppable.
That's coming.
But yeah, it's like what's like obviously the buzzwords are buzz phrase is play random. We didn't really see a ton of that.
No.
And again, it's very difficult to actually do that. Like if you're like Lindell or TyTy, like trying to fight for like an actual role on this team, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, well, you never know how guys will act when they get the ball in their hands, but those two guys certainly did not do that.
Yeah. Also, former Bucks point guard 2 for 10 in their debut.
If I speak, big trouble.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Let's talk about players. Do you want to start with your?
I love former Bucks point guard. By the way, you and I saw a billboard thanking former Bucks point guard and very good spouse who have done great work in the community. So it was nice. It was very nice to see that billboard. It was very nice.
We would just like to tell the truth. You post box score data, and you're being mean all of a sudden.
Yes, it's not like there's hours of evidence of us talking.
We have seen the receipts. Or what does Nikias say? We have receipts.
There's evidence. There's film of what you've done.
Yeah. Hey man, nope. It's good for spacing. Anyway, current Bucks. Where do you want to start going through the players here?
Let's start with the guy that everyone wanted to see and maybe had a little bit of a we'll talk about it. MarJon Beauchamp.
Yeah.
Ended up leading the team in scoring. Had 4 free throws to go down the stretch at 77 drill. Was on re-drill, was, closing them out.
Shot well on free throw.
7 of 8.
That's good.
Which is good. That's very good. Maybe teach some other guys how to do that. But it's sort of an up and down debut. It seemed like in the beginning he was pressing a little too much, trying to do a little too much. If there was a guy who was trying to do isolation stuff, it was MarJon. It was him not really playing within the flow of the game. It was him trying to create and sort of have a moment, it felt like. But he's settled in. He settled in, especially in the second half. And again, it's going against lesser competition, so take from that what you will. But it seemed like he actually started to get into a little bit of a rhythm. Like I said, finished with a game-high 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 of 11 from the field, only 1 of 3 from 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, like we mentioned earlier. Not too many turnovers, only had 1 travel. It was solid. However, for everyone sort of riding the MarJon train and be like, yeah, he's for sure the 5th starter. I think this sort of brought expectations back to reality, because it's you can't expect him to be that guy right away. You just can't. Would I like to see him be that guy? Absolutely. But do I think he's going to be that guy, that idealized version of the 5th starter immediately? No.
Yeah, I think, which is funny because you look at the line and it's 1 for 3 from deep, not a bad shooting game, and 3 attempts isn't that low for 28 minutes. Some of my least favorite MarJon plays were ones he just didn't shoot. And it was you just can't, I've said this before, you can't not shoot when you're open as the 5th guy and he wasn't tonight, but when he's the 5th guy on the floor. That is the one thing that will kill the team. And I think I get why he does it, because he's certainly better at driving than he is shooting right now. But there's going to be moments where it feels like he'll pass up a 3 and then drive, and it won't work out. It'll just be frustrating. He also had another travel in this game, which is I thought we left the travels behind, MarJon. It
was a different type of travel. It wasn't him catching the ball and starting to drive, which was good. It was him just holding the ball as he got a rebound.
Still not great, but yeah.
No, it's a different type of travel.
Yeah, so let's just not do any of them, would be my preference for the travels. Let's just not invent new ones.
He pulled a Westbrook as he was just holding the ball, trying to walk up the court.
It was one where I saw it in real time, and so I was not surprised to see the call. I thought overall he had a good enough game, but did not carry over the good summer league stuff where he looked like the best player on the floor. And obviously the competition level is a lot higher. Expecting him to look better than DeMar DeRozan or someone like that. But even later in the game, when most of the real plus players were out, he still didn't really. I mean, he certainly had moments where some of the drives still do look excellent, where it's like, oh yeah, that's the real plus level stuff.
He had some good finishes in traffic where it's like, ooh.
Well, so that looks real, and that was something we saw in Summer League too. Didn't see the strength as much, although he did get to the foul line quite a bit, but we weren't seeing and ones like we did. But
and I will say half of his attempts were intentional. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought he had a good. Obviously, he scored 18 and almost had a double-double. The rebounding was good as well. I mean, he had 2 offensive boards, which was as many as anyone else on the team. Pat Connaughton had 8 rebounds in less than 20 minutes. 2 offensive.
Just a rebounding
lunch
machine.
Pail guy.
Pat Connaughton. Yeah, he's a real blue collar guy.
Real, although not in his day job.
In a Victoria Beckham sort of way.
What he was talking about the Dame trade on media day. I don't know if I mentioned this on the pod. Did you hear how he talked? He was like, "Yeah, my other job, guys were asking me about it. Are you getting traded?" I'm like, "Your other job?" Yes, he said, "My other job."
Oh man, 3-leaf. He's really is he a part-time basketball player?
He's working 2 jobs. Pat's gonna run for office. I've worked 2 jobs before. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, like, credit to him, respect to him.
He's worked 3 jobs. Don't forget about the content studios. CEO and Intent Studios.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts as his job, though.
I was like, he's not doing that.
They document him. Yeah, that's the opposite.
I think he still technically has a role doing that. I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he doesn't show up, there's not much for them to do.
So it's like 2 jobs in one. It's like I'm doing the job, but also providing content.
I am the job. Yeah.
I am the job. But Pat Johnson, come on the podcast.
Yeah, please. I'm going to talk to you about your jobs.
Yeah, come on GSPN and get a 4th job.
We're most interested in the Bucks job, but we will talk to you about the other jobs too.
We will talk about
that. It just killed me. He was very casual. Yeah, my other job. I was like, really? Good for you.
I'm telling you, if he wants to have a real estate podcast, we will pivot.
Yeah.
We will be GSPN, where we cover Wisconsin sports and also Wisconsin real estate.
Think of the sponsors we could have.
Oh my goodness,
Pat,
just
hit us up. Yeah.
No, we have to make the deal so it's you have to sponsor everything.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's how you play it.
Pat, our people will talk to your people.
Yeah.
But MarJon, MarJon, it's like if he's having, I had to do it. When you're the 5th starter, if you're going to be the 5th starter, it's good to see both Pat and MarJon just accept that role of, I'm going to go get these boards. Yeah. So these other guys don't have to. It's like, you have to be that lunch pail guy, that quote that got me distracted in the first place. But you have to do that type of work. It's like, that's part of that role, is like, you have to do the work that you don't necessarily want to overtax the other guys with doing, right? Except maybe Brook. Yeah. Except Brook's always a good box. Okay. So whatever.
Yeah.
So let's bounce around. It's good to see them actually like fighting on the boards. So it's like, you're doing what you need to be doing, which is good. Like, good job.
Let's bounce around to other potential starters. I mean, we already mentioned.
No. Let's go to the other potential starter.
Okay.
Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
You cannot look me in the eye and tell me that was not a good performance.
That was a good performance. I can't tell you that.
You can't look me in the eye and say that was not a promising performance that could indicate real playing time. Just take this performance, Ty. Just take this performance in a vacuum. If this was any other player, what would your thoughts be?
Wow, it's crazy. He picked up 4 fouls in 21 minutes. Yeah, I'm serious. Of course I'm serious. The funniest part about this performance was that, during halftime, like when the players come to shoot around, I can't remember this. I think this was halftime. Maybe it was before the game. Halftime. And everyone's like shooting threes and step backs. TA is just dribbling around by the elbow. And he kind of looked like he was going to take a 3. And he just dribbled back up and shot a push shot from 8 feet out. And we were, our buddy Coolin was at the game with us. And we were all just like, he knows what he has to work on. He knows what he's going to be doing out there.
He's smart. He knows his role.
I mean, listen, if you don't shoot at all, as we'll get to with Andre Jackson, it gets a little tougher, but maybe doable now with the Dame team going on. Thanasis 6 for 8 from the floor, 2 for 2 from free throw.
Thanasis isn't a point guard, so it's fine.
5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 1 turnover, 4 fouls, 14 points, though, and +6 in his minutes. One of the better marks on the team. Listen, he
You can't tell me
well.
there isn't there like if you're looking for wing like sort of wing help, like you can't tell me he's not an option.
I do think maybe there's a more intriguing option in year one on the roster, and Andre Jackson Jr.
Yeah, we'll get to him, but like.
I think the playmaking there is kind of a differentiator. Thanasis had a very good game.
They're different positions, though.
Yeah, with the same limitation.
Same limitation, different positions, though. So there's different
Andre
roles
available. Not even Andre fouls as much as TA does.
It's okay. It's one thing he has.
Okay.
He can't practice not fouling in layup lines. Okay,
that's true.
So I don't know. He tried his best out there, but. Like he played really well. He knew in terms of his positioning around the basket, like he knew when to clear out and when it's like there was one player. It's like I think it was a Lindell Brook pick and roll or something like that. It's like Brooks. As soon as he looked at Brook rolling, like this guy was standing right outside the paint in the dunker spot. He was waiting. As soon as he saw Brooks like hips turn, he vacated immediately. Immediately, he was like, "Yeah, I can't take up space here," and that's something that he struggled with in the past. Is just situational awareness that sounds really bad. In terms of like, knowing like not to clog up the lane or anything. Like that's been an issue in the past. And he's like, okay, as soon as I see these hips turn, I'm gone. I can't I need to vacate my defender out of there. So it's like, I'm gonna allow Brook to have his space. And it's like, that's an actual shift. Like you know what you're doing out on the court. And it's like if he can act like he has the skills, he has the athleticism. He has real positive defensive impact potential. Like that's real. Like that's undeniable. Like he has the chance to be like a good NBA defender.
Yeah.
But it's just about honing in on those skills and like putting it all together. And it's like, that's a good start.
It is. I think he is going to continue to be a break glass in case of emergency guy, but maybe sometimes the glass actually gets broken this year.
And because it's a whole new coaching. Everyone's at the same level.
Yeah.
Everyone's at the same level.
I think there's been levels determined, but.
I mean, like in terms of like starting, yeah. Like obviously Dame is not at the same level as freaking Amari Moore.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
We didn't see Amari Moore in this game.
We did not.
Was he even on here? Oh, yeah. DMP coach's decision, it says. We also didn't see Gort.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising.
We'll probably see them on Tuesday. Maybe.
Are even less of the regulars going to play in some of these games? Or
I think so.
I assume we're going to get one or two sort of real, at least halves.
Yeah, I'd assume so. But
I guess at Summer League, he shifted off by game, right? So, yeah, maybe it will be like that. Maybe it'll be like Lindell doesn't play and Gortman plays or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But Thanasis, getting back to Thanasis, I think he has a chance to maybe crack the rotation at some points.
I would not go that far.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, it's not even to rail on Thanasis, but I just think again, we're
going to see more of him than we have last season. How about that?
Probably. We know the top four, right? And we know some combination of probably Pat, MarJon Beasley is 7, Bobby is 8, Cam Payne at point guard is 9, and then I'm forgetting someone because I feel like there is pretty much a 10. But yeah, I just think it's Crowder. So there's just not a ton of minutes. I think for anyone else, I don't think he's going to supplant any of those guys. It's possible. He had a good game for sure. I just think I think if anything, the fact that they can put lineups that are more spacey and need defense more than before is why he could play. Like if there was like a Dame, Malik Beasley, I don't know, Crowder, Brook lineup or Khris instead of Crowder, something like that, where it's like, okay, there's definitely enough space that TA can be out there without totally clogging things up. And they could really use the defender. Although I just wonder, will it just be MarJon? Or will it just be Andre Jackson Jr. instead? But maybe he'll get shots at those lineups in a way that he really has not before, outside of the Jokic game.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about opportunities. And this was an opportunity to showcase himself, and he took advantage.
I agree. He was a very one of the best TA games we've seen.
Yeah.
Against a real team.
Yeah, it was against a real team. Like he blocked like Vooch.
Yeah, I think it was. I think he and Brook did, or Robin did on the same possession. It was kind of fire.
It was. It's good to see that interior defense. And like you forget Thanasis has like he's got ups.
Oh yeah, I don't forget that.
He'll pin some stuff off the backboard. It's like, oh, I didn't think you were going to get to that.
Baby Giannis.
Yeah,
but older baby Giannis.
Older
big little Giannis.
So Giannis.
But big and little.
Older and little, we'll say that.
Let's go to Malik Beasley.
Yeah, let's go to Malik Beasley. Sorry.
A fascinating player. Yeah, I had to
great shoes, by the way. Malik Beasley shoes. I wanted to, if anyone knows what shoes he was wearing, let me know, because those are fire.
They are. Maybe Fashion Nova ones?
Fashion Nova ones. Do they have shoes?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about anything in this sphere of the game. Malik Beasley shot 50% from the field, 5 for 10, 3 for 7 on 3. Started off a little cold, and then it heated up pretty quickly and was making impressive, off-motion, not very wide-open threes. And you can
know what
see
he was doing?
What?
He was doing Malik Beasley things.
He was doing Malik Beasley things. Also had 4 assists in 21 minutes, which is like, oh, pretty good, moving the ball around. 2 steals, 3 turnovers, 2 fouls. There were some passing foibles for a lot of the guys early in this game. Again, I think Malik Beasley was doing more ball handling than Malik Beasley will probably ever be doing.
He's going to be doing some other stuff.
Yeah, a lot of shooting. And some clamping.
Should we just do that right away?
Yeah, I have the quote here. Do you want me to read the quote?
Yes, please do.
All right, Malik Beasley on being the fifth starter, and I'll read the Adrian Griffin quotes too. But here's Beasley. I got to fill in a role with Drew's defensive presence, so just making sure that I'm talking and defending. Making shots, that'll happen. That'll come over time. We can get really hot. We had it in training camp where we had all the starters together, and it was just so easy I didn't have to do much. None of our shots were forced. It just comes naturally. So that's what we're excited about. And that's why I'm putting such an emphasis on defense. Because offense, we can score 130 every night. But defense, we got to make sure we lock up.
Yeah.
So no, people are being unfair.
Okay, tell me how they're being unfair.
He's not saying he has to fill the Drew Holiday role.
Okay.
He said, I got to fill in a role with Drew's defensive presence. I've got to make sure I'm talking and defending.
Okay.
I read this.
What's the Griff quote?
Now you're putting me on the spot.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't know if this is the one. There might be a different one that I don't have. This is what he said, Beasley on Griffin. It's all a mental thing. There are great players. Oh, no, this is Beasley talking still. Hold on. Sorry. I'm scrolling through an Athletic article. First, he was playing hard on defense, Griffin said. We talked about this prior to the game and his role going forward into the season, that he's going to have to take the toughest assignments most nights. With his three-point shooting capabilities, I think he showcased tonight why he complements our roster. It will be fun to see him out there spacing the floor when we get Dame and Giannis back and see how teams play those guys. You just got to be a threat out there. Every guy that's on the floor, you got to be a threat, and he gives us some three-point shooting and some spacing.
So Griff saying he's going to have to take the toughest assignment most nights is interesting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. For those who do not know, Malik Beasley, not known as a defensive stalwart, to say the least.
Correct.
Not known as a good defender.
Correct.
To say the least. So having the head coach say, yeah, he's going to be the guy who's taking on the defensive matchups. It's like, sure. I mean, he could be. He could. It doesn't mean it's going to go well.
This word isn't in there. I think we can assume he means guard. Guards.
Yes.
Like, it's not like they're going to, Kawhi Leonard, Malik Beasley, you got him. KD, good luck.
Malik Beasley, you got KD.
Do it. He's probably the same height as PJ Tucker. Why not, right?
Yeah.
That's a joke.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis, you got
both of them. Both of them.
At the same time.
Giannis is going to be cherry picking in that matchup. You got both of them.
Just
Vivek is like, yes, I knew it.
Oh, oh man. But yeah, it's interesting for Adrian Griffin to say that, right? Like you don't have to say that. You can do it, like you can have him be the fifth starter and not say like, yeah, he's going to be taking the brunt of the defensive assignment.
DeMar DeRozan, like, 2 for 6.
Yeah,
maybe you should say that.
I mean, there are some other guys who are out there who we'll get to.
We'll talk about it. Zach LaVine, 4 for 7.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
you can live with that.
It's a solid stat line.
Both were -1. Solid is okay when you have Damian Giannis on the other side.
That's fair. What was I saying? Yeah, but Malik Beasley being like, do we think he's going to be the fifth starter at this point?
It sounds like it, which is funny because he was probably the guy we talked about least for it.
Yeah.
Before we realized he was a defensive stopper.
Yeah, it's just like, did he show something in camp where it's like, yeah, I'm a defensive stopper? Because the last time we saw Malik Beasley, he wasn't playing because he was too much of a defensive liability.
Well, I think it was really because his shot went cold.
And shot making.
I think that was the reason.
It was in conjunction because you can't have his shot out there because he's going to be a defensive liability.
Well, yeah, I think they felt he wasn't offering enough besides that. But it wasn't like he was shooting well and such a bad defender that they sat him.
Well, yes, of course. It wasn't like that. It's like you can't live with him shooting badly and not being a good defender.
Yeah. I don't think he showed that he's a great defender in camp. I think that the coaching staff, Adrian Griffin, feels like he is just the best option. So kind of, Pat, for all that he does, it's just not going to be that quick. And again, as we talked about with, your idea of starting Crowder, I think they really want a quick guy for guards so they don't have to have Dame do it. And I don't know if we want the best possible defender, but we need someone out there who we can put on guard so Dame doesn't have to guard like the best guard on the other team every night. Because as much as Dame said, he can focus on defense more. We don't really want that. So then if you do look at it that way, of we want a guard defender, it's pretty much down to Malik Beasley or MarJon Beauchamp. So I figured it was going to be Beauchamp. But if you also don't want that fifth player to like hesitate and not shoot or make mistakes with the ball as much, then it's like, okay, well, offensively, certainly that guy is going to be Beasley. I mean, their offense with him is going to be extraordinary. I mean, we talked about Dame and Giannis getting opener looks and Khris getting opener looks. Imagine what Malik Beasley's looks are going to be like on the floor in that offense. And he can do a little bit with the ball. Again, as he showed, 4 assists. Like he was a guy for that half year in Minnesota before the crazy legal troubles, was a 20-point per game player over like 30 games or something. Like he is a guy who can score in bunches without just relying on threes, although that's how he's kind of, morphed into as a player. So he should look very good offensively in that role. So then it comes down to defense. So I feel like this is not, he has this defensive skill set. I feel like this is more putting it on Malik Beasley to say, hey, if you can do this, like you take this on, if you can do this, you have it locked up then for sure for all year, right?
It's like a challenge.
It is. Like if the first 10 games of the year, we're like, hey, Malik Beasley's kind of defending pretty well. I'm not saying he's going to morph into like a stopper on defense, but if he is, this is the bar. You stay in front of the Zach LaVines of the world and make them shoot over you. And if he does that well enough and the offense looks really good with him out there, I think that you can call that a win, right? Like that's pretty much what he said. That's why I like Malik Beasley's quote, because he kind of said something similar to this, I believe. Yeah, so the other quote I haven't read yet from Beasley. It's all a mental thing, Beasley said of Griffin's assignment for him after Sunday's game. There are great players in the world, and most of them are shooting guards. I'm going to disagree there, but this is from a shooting guard, so I understand.
Most of them are like
forwards, but it's a shooting guard is saying this, so I get it. So I got to guard those guys. The best thing you can do is limit them. They're going to make shots. They're going to make tough shots. Like Zach LaVine had a tough shot on me today, but I was there. As long as I can make a presence and make sure they don't get super hot, I did my job, and we can get wins by me doing that. So that's why I'm not going to like sit here and like laugh at the concept and they think he's Drew Holiday. They don't.
That. To be clear, no, they are not saying, "Oh yeah, let's replicate what Drew Holiday does with Malik Beasley." No, that's just on the defensive end.
Yeah,
he can take some shots on the offense.
Yes, I think he's got just a very healthy. He's just got a healthy view of what they need from him defensively. I think, and if he's motivated enough and he can provide that, like that's a huge win.
I think the concern is, like, Bucks watchers, fans, they're already concerned, like, oh, there's going to be a drop off defensively.
Yeah.
Already. Why sort of add to that?
Yeah.
When you have options that don't add to that.
But how many other options do they have that don't add to that if you're looking at specifically someone who can guard guards? MarJon or Ajax, probably?
Yeah. Jae? Yeah, he's a little too slow.
He's a big guy, man.
Boss man.
He's got some quicks.
250 up for boss man.
He says he's down.
I'm sure.
Like, do you really? Could Jae guard Zach LaVine?
Could Khris guard Zach LaVine?
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you size up? And it's like if you start Jae Crowder, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the starting 2 guard.
I almost feel better about him doing it than Khris, I think. I don't know. We haven't seen Khris in a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen Khris in a while, man. We haven't seen.
We saw him in the playoffs, excited. But yeah,
I'm so excited to see like fully healthy Khris.
We didn't see him yesterday, and that for us is a while.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see him in the playoffs because he had surgery after that. He wasn't fully healthy.
Well, yeah. Defensively, offensively, again, he got it done, but defensively, he did not look good.
Fully healthy Khris, we haven't seen in like 2 years.
Hopefully, we see it soon.
Yeah, knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, Malik Beasley as the 5th starter, it's like your backcourt's really small. If Malik Beasley was like 3 inches taller, I think he'd be.
How tall is Malik? Isn't he like 6'5"?
Is he?
I think so.
I swear he's smaller.
6'4", this says.
Yeah, if he was like 3 inches taller, like he was like a wing, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
If he was like a wing side, like if he was Kyle Korver, where it's like he's a shooting guard, but he's big, so he makes up for a lot of his deficiency. Like Kyle Korver was like 6'8".
Yeah, he was.
So it's like if you can be that size but play the 2, like that's amazing. Like why do you think everyone loves KD?
6'7" wingspan according to Draft Express.
Sure. Yeah, but it's like if you were 6'7" with like a 6'10" wingspan, 6'9" wingspan, like Malik Beasley would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean that would be great.
Yeah, you could be what KD's lied about size. Remember he was telling people he was like 6'8" or something. 6'9".
Who was?
KD.
Oh yeah, the only guy to ever lie that much about being shorter.
Who should we talk about now? Unless you still have more Beasley thoughts.
No, I just think like I see why people think this is hilarious, but I still just think that it's more about putting that on him because they're going to need the 5th guy to do that. And if he's going to have first crack and he's going to embrace that, I think it's a net positive. I mean, we'll see how the defense looks overall when the real team is out there and it's Malik Beasley. It does seem like he's going to be the starter. I certainly didn't see it coming, but I get it. We just talked about MarJon's up and down game. Crowder, we can talk about Crowder next, I suppose. Like he looked pretty good overall, but had some pretty bad passes in there, just kind of confusing ones. Pat is Pat, I think could still work, and I think maybe will close a lot of games, but I don't know if you want him starting again, like a 1-2-3 of Dame, Pat, Khris. It's just kind of slow. And I almost wonder if Beasley being a little faster, as much as anything else, is the reason it's him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, will we see some? Is it going to be permanent? Are we going to see some changes?
I don't think anything is permanent.
Yeah,
at this point,
in stone.
No. I mean, Andre Jackson had a good game. We'll talk about him later. And I don't think MarJon was bad. Yeah, we can do Andre Jackson. 2 for 5 from the field. Shot a 3. What you are the biggest critic of his shot. What did you think about it?
Still not great.
Thought it looked a little better.
It did, but it's still like
yeah, it's still low. I think low could work for him.
It might have to.
Yeah,
because it's like it's going to be a drastic, like dramatic change if it needs to be. If there is going to be a change. And as TyTy hinted at, as I was trying to get this out of him, was like, yeah, they don't really change shots a ton.
Well, TyTy's shot also looks a lot better than Andre's. Ended up with 4 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, 2 fouls, 2 for 4 from 2, 0 for 1 from 3. Looked a lot more playable in this game. And again, this was no Dame, no Khris, just like, pretty like average NBA spacing, if that. I mean, really not very good spacing on the floor for the Bucks. Like Crowder shot well, Bobby didn't attempt a 3, Brook and Malik shot well, Lindell and TyTy were 0 for 8, Pat was 1 for 4, Thanasis didn't shoot any, MarJon 1 for 3, Robin Lopez 0 for 1, and Bolden didn't shoot any. So a lot of the guys
wanted it to be tea time. I wanted tea time.
I was doing the celebration early. But suffice it to say, like, this is not even as much spacing as we're probably going to see him operate in when it's the real Bucks. And I think still just looked a lot more playable. Remember in Summer League, I was so disappointed because it was so cramped. It didn't even look like Andre Jackson Jr. Could play offensively. And in this game, I think he looked a lot more natural out there. And he still brings, he's almost like an NFL player. He's a game wrecker defensively at times. Like, he will soar in there and just bust up the game. I know he and MarJon, I think, no, he wouldn't have talked about what it was like. I know MarJon has mentioned, it's nice knowing you won't get pulled for fouls. And we did see both of those guys have some aggressive plays here and there. But the dunk for Andre Jackson, the block, he has
Giannis was hyped after that.
Giannis was very hyped after that.
He was all the way running up to half court after that. It's good to see Giannis embracing the rookies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just haven't seen this kind of fun athetic play very often for the last 5 years.
This type of athleticism is just like, Giannis saw a guy cock back on a dunk. He's like, where am I? He's like, wait, this is possible? You can get guys that can do this that aren't me?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's not seeing it in Greece either.
No, he's not. The only times he's seeing is when people are trying to dunk on him. But yeah, it's fun to see that a game wrecker is a good way to put it, because it's this is his first NBA experience, and he's like, hey, by the way, go guard DeMar DeRozan, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. Yeah, just go get him.
Yeah, you can look that up. Yeah,
look what up.
Oh, I thought you were immediately defending your assertion that DeMar is one of the greatest scorers in history. And that's what I was saying. You can look that up. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Go get him. No, that's a fact. It's just I think he's a top 15 scorer of all time.
That's wild.
Yeah. He's just a bucket.
He is just a bucket. And Dre, I think, did a good job. Did you see Brook Lopez praise for him after the game?
I did not.
Well, actually, this was before the game. So this is in all of the quotes I've been reading are from Eric Name's latest in The Athletic. Go subscribe and read Eric. Dre is ridiculously athletic, Lopez said. He's been great. Crashing the offensive glass, contesting shots defensively, just making himself felt, which is pretty atypical for a rookie. And obviously, he can finish pretty well too, laughs. This was actually following Thursday's practice. This was even before he had these moments in the game. And the question was not about him. It was just about the young guys in general. And then Lopez went on to talk about MarJon after. So kind of interesting. He talked about Ajax first, Andre Jackson Jr. But yeah, he had a nice game. The splash plays, the defensive assignments. I think Griffin had a nice quote too about how he stepped up right. Oh, here it is. He plays within himself, very smart, Griffin said. If he's open, he'll shoot it. If not, he doesn't try to force shots. Yeah, we kind of see why. That's an interjection from me with the way the jumper looks. Back to the quote. He attacks the rim, he attacks the O boards, and then he just loves defense. It's hard to find guys that love defense the way he does. With his athleticism, he just finds a way to impact the game, and that's all you have to do, especially with this roster. I thought he did that. Really good plays that he made, drives, finishes. I think he's going to be a special player before it's all over. So the thing about that quote to me, I'll pass back to you to react to all this. Adrian Griffin, who was a defensive specialist, with that line about it's hard to find guys that love defense the way he does, that tells me that I think he's on Adrian Griffin's good side, right? I think that's the kind of player that Griffin would be like, oh yeah, this guy just gets it, right? This guy gets basketball. He deserves some opportunities when we can find them for him. I read that and I was like, okay, that's an interesting thing for him to say about a rookie here.
It is. Also, I will fact check myself. DeMar is 39th on the all-time leaders.
I was going to say 15th would be pretty. He's not. Hasn't even played that long.
I mean, he's right. He's what is it? 15, 27 points behind Steph Curry.
Wow. Yeah, that's when you put it like that. I know Steph's missed a lot. DeMar's just been a workhorse.
Yeah. Also, but yeah, 39. Still incredible.
Yeah, top 40 all time.
Yeah, like Dwayne Wade is 32nd. Charles Barkley is 29th. Like,
I would not have guessed Chuck above Wade, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Elgin Bailey's 32nd. Clyde's 34th. Like, it's like you're still in really, really good company.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to Ajax. But also, Ty, I heard they don't pay players to play defense.
Is that a Jabari Parker?
It is.
Wow. I wasn't ready for that. Hope everything's okay with Jabari, whatever he's up to.
No, did you not see his recent interview? He was like, "Oh, I hate playing in the NBA. That's why I left."
Oh yeah, I did see that.
It's like, sure.
And where is he playing now?
Barcelona.
That's actually surprising. We'll see how long that one lasts. He's no Yabusele.
Barcelona's not the best team in Spain, by the way.
Well, I know that Real is, right?
Yeah.
But still,
it's still interesting.
I think a lot of guys who do not have an NBA contract for them say things like this.
Yeah. That's why he chose to leave. But getting back to
does that exactly conflict with what he said, though, about the defense? Or what does he mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the full quote was like, there's only shots for some players. It's like, oh, so you didn't get enough shots because you can't defend, so you quit the NBA?
Yes.
Don't put yourself in Enes Kanter territory.
Yeah. Just don't. Just in any level.
Like, it's clearly not the same, but getting that same idea of they kicked me out because they don't like me. Maybe there's another reason. There's another reason.
Yeah. At least Jabari hasn't gone full.
No, yeah.
There's levels to this.
Yes.
But getting back to Ajax, let's talk about good things. That quote from Brook is just amazing. And being on Adrian Griffin's good side with being able to lock in on defense. That's something this team needs. Especially with Drew Holiday gone. Can Ajax be that point guard defender of the future? Can he be that guy? It's tough to ask a second round pick to do that right away. So you're probably not going to see that a lot year one. But year 2, year 3, are you going to see that? Maybe at the end of year 1. Maybe mid-year 1.
I was going to say, we might. He checked in and guarded DeMar in his first preseason game. I do think it feels like Griffin is the kind of coach who, he's going to give out those challenges. Hey, go do it. Let's see what you can do.
I think also the coaching staff at Media Day or after at something has talked about it's you have to give these young guys an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And it's a shift from the previous regime, which again, there was a reason for them doing that. It's you're trying to win basketball games at the highest level. The vets give you the best chance of winning basketball games at the highest level. So it's not like Bud. I feel weird. I don't know why I feel weird saying Bud, but
yeah,
it feels like I'm in a corporate situation where you don't really talk about previous people. But during Bud's tenure, it's you're not going to play a ton of these young guys because you're trying to win games. Also, they didn't have a lot of young talent.
Yeah, I think. There's certainly a truth to you can't play young guys.
Last year, MarJon. You're not going to play MarJon a ton because it's you got to you have better options, more established options. I will say
it went too far though.
It did go a little too far.
When we saw Joe Ingles guarding Donovan Mitchell.
Joe Ingles. Period.
No, when we saw Joe Ingles guarding Donovan Mitchell, it's okay, maybe MarJon can get this opportunity. Maybe.
I had two very strong takes last summer, and they both turned out correct, by the way.
About Ingles and about MarJon?
Yeah.
You're taking the MarJon victory lap too early.
I'm saying it's a good pick.
I think it's too early still. It looks like it will be.
I know, but in terms of potential, in terms of making the actual selection, I'm not saying whether he's going to turn out to be a great prospect, but I'm saying right now it's he looks like a good prospect and good value pick.
My draft take is aging really well from that draft.
Which was?
I thought Walker Kessler was going to be quite good.
You did think Walker Kessler was going to be quite good. Yeah.
And then Coloco's having an injury, I think. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Same with EJ Liddell.
Yeah, some really tough injury luck from that class. so far. And we'll see TyTy can validate my other draft take.
Yeah.
Speaking of TyTy, do you have anything else on Andre Jackson?
No, I mean, it's like, I think especially out of him and Chris Livingston, out of the draft picks, he definitely has a chance to play year one.
Yeah. Just because they need that skill set.
Yeah. If the Malik Beasley experiment goes wrong, and I'm not saying he's going to start.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I don't think there's a universe in which he starts games for the Bucks this year, unless it's like a rest game or something.
Yeah.
Or everyone has ankle soreness game.
Yeah.
It has to be now.
Yeah.
Do you see Kawhi's response to the injury rules?
I feel bad for Kawhi. I did.
I do feel no. The first one, he was like, "What are they?"
Oh yeah, that was funny. No, but then later he was like, "It like this doesn't affect me at all." Like he's like, "Guys, my knee is bad. I don't know if you don't understand this. It does suck. He's the poster child for this.
It does because it's like he's hurt.
Yeah,
it's not his fault that he's hurt.
I don't think there's any player in the league who's like, yeah, I just don't feel like playing 20 games. I'm just not going to play.
No, he's legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
That's like he tore his ACL and then he came back and then he tore his meniscus.
Yeah. His knees are not good.
No, I feel so bad for Kawhi.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, Kawhi, the poster child of, I mean, he's certainly had load management in the past, but I also like looking at where he's at now, like you can see why. I think we'd all agree.
It was the quad injury with the Spurs, right? That led to the whole thing.
We'd rather have 60 games of Kawhi in playoffs versus 40 games and then out for a long time.
Yeah. It's like, actually treat your stars well. Like it's not Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's fault that they're hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it's
just unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unlucky. It's unfortunate. Like I find myself rooting for the Clippers.
I wouldn't go that far.
Like it's in the West, especially if they got Drew, they would have been like my second favorite team.
I did want that to happen.
Yeah. Now it looks like they're gonna get Jimmy.
James.
Yeah. Harden.
We're still calling Terrence Mann a prospect.
I don't think Ty Lue's calling him a prospect.
In media.
I know, but
he's the prize. He's 27. Am I a prospect?
Yeah.
I could do anything in the NBA. There's no tape on me.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
27-year-old prospect. He's played like 5,000 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm like what I'm saying about Ty Lue doesn't consider him a prospect because he doesn't play him.
Well, he's not ready yet. He's still in the incubator. When he's 29, he's going to be ready to debut.
It's like Khris Boucher. It's like, oh, this unheralded young prospect. Like, dude's 30.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just ridiculous. Like the way other guy.
Can Pascal Siakam be better than Giannis? Pascal's older than Giannis.
Yeah, so he should be right now.
Yeah, didn't really show up though. I also feel bad for Pascal.
I don't.
I mean, with the uncertain contract situation.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out okay for him.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel bad for people stuck with the Raptors, you know?
That's fair. I don't have anything negative toward Pascal. It's fine. Yeah. TyTy Washington.
Yeah, TyTy Washington.
We already covered it, honestly.
We saw Javon going up against TyTy. We were like, oh, we're so conflicted.
I wasn't that. I was rooting for TyTy. Nothing against Javon, but...
It's like, I wonder if those guys down the floor, it's like, hey, you were on the Euro step, right? It's like, oh my God, you were on the Euro step too?
No, it's probably more like, I'm the best Euro step guest. No, hell no. And that's why they were going at each other a little bit, trying to prove who was the best Euro step guest.
Imagine that actually happened.
AJ Green was on the bench fuming. He missed the game. We could have had 3 Euro step guests on the floor at once. Actually, we did with Bobby.
We did, yeah.
We could have had 4. Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. We kind of covered it. I mean, I thought TyTy played overall fine. The whole day.
My big takeaway, sorry to interrupt, but my big takeaway was that he just looked really fluid.
Yeah.
It's like, it's nice to see like, oh, the Bucks have a young, talented ball handling prospect?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
A young point guard on the Bucks?
Oh my God. They actually did the thing?
Yeah.
I know. The big thing has been like they need a young point guard, they need a young center. They don't have the young center yet, but
that's Brook.
It's Brook.
Brook's the young center.
It's Robin. He's a minute younger.
That's true. Finally, they got a center younger than Brook by 1 minute. You're right, though. I think that's the stat line lies a little bit. TyTy looks really fluid with the ball in his hands. I do think he was able to make some nice plays, even when like the center is Robin Lopez and the wings are not the Bucks wings. I do hope he gets some run with some of the more core players because I do think he could look really good in that circumstance. But still, I thought an impressive debut. And again, like the Bulls played all of Javon Carter, Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, who's looked at as a pretty good guard defender too. So although it is the Bulls, and I think people just assume their perimeter defense is just bad, they added good defenders this offseason, and they quietly had like a pretty good defense overall last regular season. They were like a top 11, I think, defense.
They were in the NBA. They were a top like efficient defense.
I think they were 11th.
When they should have been an efficient offense.
They were a bad offense. It's very weird.
It was a very weird team, the Chicago Bulls.
I think that should give Bucks fans hope. Like if the Bulls last season Caruso was their best defender. I don't even know how much he played.
I think Bucks fans this season are going to realize that it's much easier to put together a competent defense than they realize.
Well, especially I think people just overlook the back line of Giannis and Brook is so important in this and such a good base.
It's an elite. It's 2 first-team all-defense guys.
Yeah, like I think the defense will hold up.
Like front court defense, like is
the more
NBA
important defense. Yeah,
it's like you cannot have a good defense without having good front court defense. You can have good perimeter defense, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a good defense if your front court is just like allowing shots at the rim. Because for whatever it takes, shots at the rim will forever be the most efficient shot in basketball.
Yeah. Especially if you can do it without fouling, which is the thing with Brook and the Bucks.
Yes. You can't be a good defensive team if you foul. Like that's just those are mutually exclusive. But shots at the rim are forever going to be the most efficient shot at basketball. If you can limit those, you are going to at least be an average defense. Yeah. At least.
Well, and the nice thing too about the Bucks and the way they're playing more aggressively is even if the fouls tick up, I think they could do it without giving up many more free throws.
As long as they're not shooting fouls.
That's it. So, so if you're going, as long as you have to be aware of the bonus, that's going to be really important, especially for the young guys. But, if you're going for the ball and pick up fouls that way, those are much less damaging fouls than a shooting foul anyway. So we'll see how they walk that line. But TyTy, I thought, looked good, looked fluid, looked fine defensively. I mean, didn't stand out, but that's a kind of a question for him. But I think he's athletic enough, and I believe he also has a plus wingspan, even though he's not a huge guard. He's not a small point guard either. So a good overall game. If he had knocked down 1 or 2 threes, the overall line looks a lot better. I still thought his performance was good overall.
Yeah, it was solid. Like, again, this is first preseason action. Like, it's going to be tough to ascertain. We're going to have to look for patterns.
Yeah. Lindell Wigginton was only 1 for 7.
Started the game.
Lindell. Also 0 for 4 from deep. Had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, but 4 turnovers. Really an up and down game for Lindell. I thought he had some nice passes and did play strong defense, which is his calling card. But offensively, between the turnovers and the shooting, this was just not a good enough performance. Again, some good defenders on the Bulls, but still, Lindell did not showcase much offensively, and I think he needs to bounce back and have a good scoring game the next time he gets action in the preseason.
Tell me the take you told me about Lindell.
I think the Dame trade sets him up to have a better pathway to more minutes this year because he is the most defensive inclined guard, is certainly among the two-ways, but I think you could even argue like on the roster if you just look at point guards between Cam Payne and Dame. So I think that runway is there, but I do think he's going to have to show more offensively to get a real opportunity than he did in this game.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah,
but he's a good guard defender.
I agreed with the take at the time. I just wanted you to say it on the phone.
No, yeah, I appreciate it.
He's going to have more of a pathway because he is a defensive-minded guard. It's just going to be like, is it going to be Lindell or is it going to be Ajax?
Yeah, and I think that's what was my thing with Thanasis too. Like, does Ajax give you more upside in other areas that he gets the opportunity first?
The thing is, like, I think Lindell, for his offensive troubles, as well as Thanasis and his offensive troubles, I think they are both more polished than Ajax.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they better be, or Ajax is way farther along, or they're not far enough along, considering the experience gap there.
Yeah, and one of them's 30 plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the most polished one, by the way.
Thanasis?
Yeah, out of those three. I'm just trying to get.
He also his scope is the most narrow.
Okay, let's just let we don't.
That was the nicest possible way to say that.
Let's move on swiftly.
We didn't do Bobby and Brook yet.
It's like we touched on Brook a little bit. Played 12.
We know
minutes
with these guys.
11 points. Bobby brought the ball up a few times. And
4 for 5 for Bobby. It's some nice mid. He's carrying over the Team USA mid-range pull-ups.
Team USA Bobby.
Yeah.
It's good to see, but it's like we don't need to see a lot from these guys. We know who they are.
They combined for 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, both from Bobby. No turnovers, no fouls.
Yeah, because Bobby was point Bobby.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like they both look good. It's good. Like one thing we wanted to see from we know who Brook is. Brook is not going to change as a player. Like at this point, he's not. Like I know we probably said that like 8 years ago or something. It's like, we know who Brook Lopez is. He's not going to change. He did a lot. If you just woke up from a coma.
Point Brook, it's coming.
Brook Lopez is now. If you just woke up from a coma, by the way, Brook Lopez is an All NBA point guard.
And congrats. Shout out to you.
Congratulations.
You made it. Yeah.
I also feel bad for lying to you just now.
What'd you say?
I said he's an All NBA point guard.
Oh, I wasn't even listening. Yeah, he's a very good defensive center though, for real.
Won a title, by the way, with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks won a title.
Yeah. We have a huge back catalog if you want to go listen to this.
Yeah.
We're talking to no one, by the way.
No. I hope not. I hope people aren't.
Hey, but if we are talking to someone, congrats to you.
Yeah.
Hit us up if it's true because you deserve. Yeah, because you deserve a lot. But yeah, Brook Lopez isn't going to change. I think. Bobby Portis. If one thing we wanted to see was a little more offensive consistency.
Yeah.
And we started to see that a little bit. Again, what did he play? 12 minutes.
12 and a half minutes. Yeah.
12 and a half minutes. Yeah, we're not going to see a ton.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. We're going to have to wait and see until like the regular season, but it's good. And it's good to see Bobby play because he's had a busy summer. Like we mentioned, Team USA Bobby. Like he hasn't really gotten a rest.
Jae Crowder. Well, again, we kind of covered.
We covered him already.
Shot
it's shot well. Had some weird turnovers. Had some weird passes.
But only took 2.
I know, but some of them were him not catching the ball.
Yeah.
Which
a lot of guys were. I don't know if there was like a different ball than you. So I feel like 4 different Bucks had one squeezed through their hands. Yeah, kind of weird.
First preseason action. So
yeah.
These sort of things happen.
I mean, I would hope they've touched a basketball in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's fair. What did Jokic say? He's touched a basketball like twice during the offseason.
Yeah, no one. I hate people who are like, "Is this actually bad for the game?" It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all if Jokic thinks this is a job. So does Pat Connaughton. We're not doing think pieces about it.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah. Is this bad for hoops? Is Pat Connaughton having another job bad for hoops?
Let's not do. Let's not delve into that. But I don't know. Robin Lopez still hitting hook shots.
I thought I was like, how many minutes can Robin play? Because he did not play very much last couple of years. Thought he looked pretty good throughout his season.
19 and a half minutes?
He has been the same player since his last Bucks tenure. I don't think he's changed at all.
No.
Like, hey, I can go out there, get up and down the floor a bit, play some pretty good, protect the rim moderately well for his lack of quickness. There were a couple plays where, it seemed like Brook maybe could have done a rear contest that Robin couldn't. Brook is certainly quicker, but 2 blocks, 2 assists as well, which is kind of like again, there was a lot of offense running through the center position, and he was able to make some plays from there. 3 for 6 from the field, 0 for 1 from deep. He's just playing his game. Like I don't think he's a bad backup center for how sparsely the Bucks tend to use backup centers.
It's not terrible. Like it's not terrible, especially when you're gonna have Giannis and Bobby. So
yeah. So it's like when they need him to rise up and play 20 minutes and do this stuff, he can do it, and that's fine.
Yeah,
he's not going to ask out like Serge Ibaka probably, so that's good.
Where's Serge Ibaka now? German?
Yeah, I think so. Setting screens over there.
Yeah, you're a role player.
Role play. Don't even get me fired up again.
Oh man, one of the funniest. Like the Bucks have had 2 trade requests in the past decade, and they've both been hilarious.
Yeah,
it's Thon Maker and Serge Ibaka.
It's
Just
hard to be a backup
so
big
funny.
on the Bucks, apparently.
By the way, we've done a full pod like 3 years ago about like the butterfly effect of Thon Maker's trade request.
Yeah.
That must be a hilarious listen back now.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is.
Go check that out if you know what we're talking about.
It led to the Raptors getting a title.
It did. It did. It
You're welcome,
absolutely
Masai.
did. It led to the Bucks not getting a title.
Yeah. Well, but eventually.
Yeah, eventually they did get there.
Marques Bolden. 1 for 1 from the field. 1 for 2 from free throw. 4 rebounds. 1 steal. 2 blocks. 1 turnover. Not bad.
Yeah.
He's going to be a center for the Herd this year.
He will be.
The Herd are going to be big because they're also bringing Drew Timme, who was the hero of the game.
Yep, I had a little putback.
Yeah.
To
game winner.
Seal the game. Yeah, game winner.
That was his only accomplishment in the game, but that's a big one.
We were watching him at the halftime warm-ups trying to hit a 3. It was funny.
Didn't go great.
He did hit one though.
Yep. About his 6th attempt.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a good Herd player.
I think so.
I think he'll be a good G League guy.
I mean, they're going to be a lot bigger than they've been. I wonder how long one of these guys gets snatched up because size doesn't always last in the G League. But
yeah, the Bucks. The Herd had a 7-footer for about 5 seconds last year.
Ibu Baji.
Yeah, before
Blazers
the
legend.
Before the Blazers snatched him up. Is he still in the 2-way for them?
I think he is.
Nice, good for him.
He got surgery, but they stuck with him. Was the last I heard last season. He missed most of last year, so we'll see if he's able to play more this year.
Good for him.
But probably not at the NBA level now that they have DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Robert Williams gets traded.
Probably not right away. I don't think they're desperate to.
Not right away, but I think that by the trade deadline. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I could see that. Do you think Jeremy Grant gets traded this year?
Maybe not this year. Maybe next year. There's too many years left.
Off season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big number too. Although I did see the Mavs could cobble together some salary to do it, and that'd be big for them.
That'd be a good get for them.
If they're Kyrie, Luka, Jeremy Grant, Robert Williams, and apparently this Lively kid looks good. I haven't gotten to watch a full game yet.
He got put in the basket by Rudy Gobert.
Well, that'll happen. Year one.
I was going to say, like, that doesn't happen to anyone.
No, that never. That's okay. Never mind. I take it back.
I saw Gobert saw him, posted him up, and dunked.
That's crazy.
Like,
that's
like
bad.
I think I tweeted like that's one of the getting put in the basket by Rudy Gobert is one of the most embarrassing things.
That's one of the craziest welcome to the NBA moments possible.
Yeah, just getting dunked on by Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that's like
off a post up.
Yeah, I just got my ankles broken by Khris Middleton. Welcome to the NBA. Like, I don't know if you're going to be around for long.
I don't know. Khris has got some handles.
Have we ever seen Khris cross anyone over?
We've seen Tony Snell do it.
Well, Tony Snell, different animal out there.
Yeah. But Bojan Bogdanovic, his ankles were never the same.
He is hurt to start the year now. Maybe that's related.
He's just had a chronic ankle injury ever since Tony Snell. It's not an actual injury.
It spread to his calf. I was actually our ongoing Pistons disagreement. Bojan calf to start the year is very scary to me if I'm a Pistons fan. Calves are tricky.
They are tricky.
And he is important spacing for them. And he's old.
But no, Cade is going to be important spacing for them. He put a lot of emphasis on shooting after that stress fracture.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm all in. I
know. We will. You're the new Adam McGee.
What, is Adam in on Cade?
He was just really high in the Pistons last year.
Oh, we both were.
Oh, okay. So you're the old Rohan.
Yeah. I'm the same old me.
Ye old Rohan.
Yep.
Now that we're talking about the Pistons.
Yeah, do we have anyone else we need to talk about?
No, I think we did everyone who played again, which is our long-standing habit when we record after a game. I'm sure probably not game 2 unless something crazy happens, but I'm sure we'll reconvene.
Is Tuesday against the Grizzlies in FedEx Forum. The other forum, they're going to be traveling from one forum to the other forum.
I have a joke. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Okay, that's really funny because I was about to make a joke.
What's your joke?
No, I'm not going to say it.
Ironic that Ja plays in Fed Forum.
Nope.
Okay.
That's not what I was going to do.
What were you going to do?
Than mine. No, don't worry about it.
All right. Although can he play preseason? It doesn't count, right? I thought it doesn't count.
Oh, well, he hasn't.
I heard he could play the midseason tournament game. The one that's not regular, the one game. I think they asked
if they make the final.
Yeah.
Oh
He could
my-
play that and then go back to being suspended. How funny.
That's so funny. I hope that happens. honestly.
Imagine if someone was suspended for like a year, but they got to play the midseason tournament game and they're a free agent and somebody signs them right before.
Oh my god. It's like when OJ Mayo got suspended.
Yeah. Bring back Juice just for the
Yeah, where's
midseason tournament. That's
where's
like a
Uncle
movie.
Juice?
That's a movie.
Where's Uncle Juice at when you need him?
I'm not going to guess.
He was at a Bucks game last year, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Yeah, it was really cool to see
Still
them
waiting
bring
for
Juice
Jared
back.
Bayless's homecoming. That got you, huh?
I was gonna say,
Bucks
where's Chris
legend.
Copeland's homecoming, but he is.
It is.
Yeah, we
Curtis
didn't talk
assistant
about this
coach.
last week because
Oh,
it dropped right after we finished recording. Chris Copeland going to be an assistant coach with the Wisconsin Herd.
Yeah.
Welcome
Joe
back.
Wolf, Wisconsin legend, fun Herd coaching staff.
Yeah,
Tony
it'll
Ballier,
be-
former Herd GM.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. But it's just like, oh, Chris Copeland. I haven't
I
thought
know.
about you in a while.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a random Buck from that era. Mirza, where's
Shabazz
Mirza?
Muhammad.
Shabazz Muhammad. Mirza's too busy. Not Mirza.
Thruza.
Oh. I just remember the picture that Jordan would tweet out, just Mirza sat on a volcano. It's like, now Mirza's erupting. And it's like, those are the good old days.
Didn't get to use it very often, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately. But he's leading, I believe, Bosnia's basketball.
I'm going to let
federation?
you wade into these waters for once. I'm not going to make a geopolitical mistake on this podcast.
Hold one moment.
That does sound right. No, I did it.
Yes, it is
Okay.
Bosnia.
Bosnia
Okay.
and Herzegovina.
Herzegovina, yes.
That's always a fun one to say.
Yes. Okay, I am right. I didn't mess up. But yeah, I think if we're all done here, if we're talking about Mirza, we'll wrap this up. Say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire.
Oh wait,
and
do you have the
GSPN.
rest of the schedule for this week?
Yeah, I said they play the Grizzlies.
Is that it for this week?
I think so.
Oh,
I could
okay.
be wrong. I'll check right now.
I'm not. I just asked. I can't be wrong. I asked a question. Foster and
didn't
learning.
I didn't say you're wrong.
Oh, they said you're
they
wrong.
They play the Lakers on the 15th. Is that this week?
Yeah, it's 6 days from now.
That's next Sunday. It's next week.
It's before. Well, maybe we'll record again before then. We'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah, but I'm saying this week the only game left
Okay.
is the Grizzlies. They don't play at home again until Memphis again on October 20th, which is their last preseason game. The Lakers game is on ESPN.
Oh, is there? They play 5 total or 4? Is there another one between Lakers and Grizz?
OKC on the 17th.
So yeah, they have a road trip, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, a 3-game road trip
But they'll
Which is
come
just-
home between 2 of them.
between Grizzlies and Lakers, I'd assume, because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a 5-day gap.
That would be an insane amount of time to spend in either place.
I mean, just go to LA for a couple days.
I don't know if we need that.
Better do that in the preseason than the regular season.
That's true.
Don't need a. Where's Miles Plumlee's homecoming? There we go.
Wrap it up quick.
Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Plum
look it up.
Dog Millionaire. Making
Plum
it
Dog
rain.
Millionaire. That was my fantasy basketball team name.
So good.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure you check out gspn.info for all our links. Monday Night Football happening today. Talk the Tundra will have you covered. Cruising for a bruising. If you missed the Brewers end of season wrap up, make sure you listen to that. It's a good pod. I got through it. It was good.
I got through it.
I mean, it's tough. Like
It is.
you know,
It is tough.
it's tough, but it was Adam and Andrew made it a really, really good listen, really interesting listen. Make sure you check that out. All of our links, Substack, Discord, all of that's at gspn.info. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this, whether that be on your podcast platform of choice or watching this on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Pod Random. We will talk to you next time.